Baruchim Aboyim. Welcome everyone. It is Thursday night and we try our best every Thursday to learn a little bit from the Kedushas Levi. Excuse me. Let's see if we can find a relatively short piece from the Kedushas Levi. I guess the first one, I think I saw, it's that there's a Yuberman on Twitter who likes to post Hasidus. I think he used the first one. So we're in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 15, verse 18. Shoftim v'shotrim titen lecha b'chol sha'arecha v'shavta sa'am mishpat tzedek. So it says, judges and officers, you should give all of your gates, and they should judge the people a righteous justice. So it says, Hine, behold, Kedush Baruch Hu Shofet es Knesset Yisrael. God judges, He controls, He rules the congregation of Israel. Avoy al mishpat begoidel rachma v'chasodav. When they come to be judged, in His abundant compassion and mercy and kindness. Ach tzrichin is a rusa de lasata. However, a lower arousal is needed from human effort. La'oris amida shel rachmanus lamala, in order to arouse that attribute, that archetype of compassion and mercy above. So through what do we arouse that attribute, that archetype of kindness? When we here on earth conduct ourselves with kindness, and we judge every Jew favorably, and anybody, any good person, judge them favorably. And then through this, we arouse that attribute. We made in Gamolav. We also are learning upon himself. This, when we judge others favorably, it's like the saying, "Judge not lest ye be judged." In the Hasidic sense, it's much deeper. Whatever judgment we pass on someone else is what we pass upon ourselves. And so when we say something positive about another person and we look at them with compassion and we realize maybe, they had certain circumstances why they did certain things, it's not their fault, we should take it easy on them. When we do that, that's how God looks at us. It's like we know this story, and the opposite as well. We know the story in the Bible of King David, that the prophet Nathan told him a parable about a rich man had a lot of sheep, and a poor man had one sheep, and the rich man stole the poor man's sheep. And he asked King David, "What do you say of such a man?" And he judged him very harshly. And then the prophet told him, "You are that man." And that's how we'll be presented in the next world. We pass judgment upon ourselves when we judge others negatively. But also we bring kindness and compassion to the world when we look at others with kindness and compassion. Now sometimes that kindness and compassion could be a type of a tough love. But nonetheless, there's always love and compassion and kindness, and we try our best, especially in this day and age, except in extreme circumstances, to try to be as compassionate and kind as possible, and only look for the good things in other people. Everybody. I think we should do that to everybody. If that's the case, what a person arouses with his actions here below, Hashara Elyon, the supernal gate, that's an archetype, Luftoich Shari Chesed, to open the gates of kindness, Laharik Bracha Al Kol Zera Yisrael, to pour out blessing on all the seed of Israel, and through them the whole world is blessed. That's what it means. Judges and officers, you should give to yourself in all of your gates. Tzaloimer means to say Sha'ata ba'atzmecha tisakein v'tochin ha'mishpat shalmal al yedei sharecha, that you and yourself should fix and rectify and prepare the judgment above through your gates. V'hu sharim shalcha, what are your gates? Shata oisem arer b'masecha, that which you accomplish through your deeds. V'zeu v'shavtos am mishpat tzedek, and that's what it means you will rule, or you will judge the people with a righteous judgment, with justice. Ritzaloimer means to say, Kol ish yilmoid es atzmai l'snaig l'shpoides ha'am mishpat tzedek. Every person should accustom himself and teach himself to conduct himself, to judge the people with righteous justice. L'lamid tzedakah v'schus al kol zera Yisrael, to speak over kindness and righteousness and justice and merit on all the seed of Israel. Then the person arouses the supernal gate, and through this then he will go out when in his judgment, when he's being judged, he himself will also be found innocent in being judged. Mishpat Shalmaila, when he's being judged above in heaven, especially we're coming now to Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, because whatever attribute that a person measures out on other people, that's measure for measure is measured out on him, meted out on him. So when we're strict with others, then God is strict with us, and when we're kind and generous to others, God is kind and generous to us. Now I wanted to address, it is related to this, there was a video, and Candace Owens posted a video of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zichrono Livrocha, and in which he said that every Yid is a balabos, even over the physical aspects of the world. And which was the translator there, I believe did a poor translation. When we say Chachamim Zar B'Devrechem, that and it comes also when we're translating, we have to be very careful to translate. Sometimes you can translate something literally, and it sounds inappropriate, but when it's translated with the spirit and the context, it takes a different meaning. And when she was defending her criticism of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I'm not a Lubavitcher Chassid. I'm really not a big fan of Lubavitch, but I don't hate them. I love them. They're my fellow Jews. I just think they're wrong about a lot of things. All right, I'm also wrong. Satmar Rebbe used to say, that every Rebbe thinks all the other Rebbes are wrong and only I'm right. Say the Belzer Rebbe thinks all the other Rebbes are wrong, only I'm right. And the Vizhnitzer Rebbe thinks all the other Rebbes are wrong, only I'm right. Satmar of Schusi Gleinu, we just celebrated his Yortzeit a week ago, he said, it's true, all the other Rebbes are wrong, but I'm also wrong. And that's a very deep statement. But nonetheless, here the Lubavitcher Rebbe was saying something that could be argued correctly, but the way it's being translated is gravely misunderstood. So when he said that every Yid is a balabos, and the person translating said he's the master over even the physical aspects of the world, master sounds, like a master and a slave. That's not what it means. A balabos means that he has responsibilities, and that his actions have responsibilities in this world. And if he's conducting himself in the proper way, so then those who he's responsible over benefit and should be grateful for him conducting himself in the proper way. And this is a theological belief. It's not any political statement. It's not in any way a social statement, but rather that the power of our religious devotion and conducting ourselves such as in a way as the Kedushas Levi Parshas described here, that when we judge others favorably, that brings down material blessings into this world. And so as a balabas means the husband of the house, or the owner of the house, or the boss of the house, of the business is often called balabas. That could be the owner, or it could be the president, it could be a CEO, it could be a manager, would have a term balabas. And sometimes we speak of, a married working person over his own home is a balabas. But being a balabas, being a father and a husband, is more of a responsibility than anything else. That the husband and the father, he has to go to work and support his wife and children. Wife might want to go to work, children might want to go to work also. But the main responsibility is on the husband, the balabas. And in the sense that we're speaking of here, and in the context of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Zichron Livracha, was talking about, it was along these lines that we're speaking about here, is that when we conduct ourselves properly, and we exist in a world of kindness and compassion and love for other people, our actions have consequences, and the negative actions have negative consequences, but the positive actions have positive consequences, and those consequences are not merely relegated to some future eschatology or to some heavenly reward or punishment in the afterlife, but it's the here and now. And so for those who believe that this is true, they would recognize that the righteous people, really righteous people of all faiths, and he's focusing here on the Jewish concept, that he's talking here about the mitzvahs we do. We on tefillin, we keep kosher, we make brachas, we pray 3 times a day, we learn Torah, we do these things that has an effect on the world that is not only a spiritual effect, but then the spiritual manifests into material blessings. And if you believe that this is true, then you should be thankful for all the people who are doing the right things and manifesting these material blessings through their spiritual devotions. Now, if you don't believe in it, you don't believe in it. But it's really not that much different than like we said. I wrote to Candace Owens, I don't know if it got her attention, but the Christians would say that the Christian community is the body of their Messiah, who they deify. And so if that's the case, then the divine nature in the Christian belief of the Christian community is just the same idea. And so in that case, we're only arguing on who is it that has some sort of a divine power or manifestation. And so the Jew would say the Jew, and the Christian would say the Christian, and the Muslim would say the Muslim, and the Hindu would say the Hindu, and the Sikh would say the Sikh, and the pagan would say the pagan. The fact of the matter is we're all made in the image of God. And so yes, we disagree on theology, and I personally believe that the Jewish theology is the only true theology, and the Jewish apologetics are the strongest apologetics. But even without that, this is the ultimate truth, is the Torah. But I am comfortable and secure enough in my own devotion to God that I recognize that other people believe differently, and that God is great enough that He how does this work? That He can receive the devotion of other people who have other religious beliefs. As it says in the book of Malachi, from the rising of the sun to the setting thereof, great is my name among the nations, says the Lord of hosts. And that was said before Christianity and Islam brought forms of monotheism to the general world. And the closest thing to monotheism in that time would have been Zoroastrianism, which you could argue whether it's monotheistic or dualistic. The vast majority of the world were polytheists, and nonetheless, God said that His name is great among those people who worship something divine that's above them, as long as they're living ethically and morally. And He was giving rebuke to the priests in Jerusalem, the temple, who thought they were hot stuff and thought they were better than everybody else just because they happened to have the true religion. Our pride as Jews should be within our faith, that we believe that our faith is true and that God gave us His true word. And that should be our source of pride. Our source of pride isn't that we have more Nobel Prize winners, or that we have actors that are movie stars, movie moguls, and this and that, and bankers and politicians. If people who do these things happen to be pious, good Jews, that's all well and good. That's how they make a living. I remember Stephen Hill was an actor, as Gevena Voilich Sidashid, and Joe Lieberman might not have agreed with his politics, but in the end, he was a Shomer Shabbos. Zichronim Levrocha. And Robert Aumann, Zol Gesund sein, won the Nobel Prize, but his greater accomplishment is that he's a Talmid Chacham. And there's nothing wrong with being proud of that, but it's not a racial issue, because anyone from any race can convert to Judaism. They used to accuse Meir Kahane of being a racist, and he would always say, if Arafat would convert to Judaism tomorrow, he would be just as Jewish as Kahane. I don't know, maybe more so. But it's true. That's how Judaism works. And thus, that's the message that we have, is that we have to increase our kindness and compassion to others. And I believe someone like Candace Owens, who used to be a very strong friend of the Jewish community, and now is perceived as not being, she's seeking truth, and I believe she has potential to be a friend of the Jewish community again. Sometimes people like this even wind up converting, and we would welcome a sincere convert after she realizes the folly of her ways. But if she doesn't, it's also okay, because we don't say everybody has to convert. However, I still nonetheless criticize Lubavitch because they're not more welcoming of converts. And the idea of the Sheva Mitzvahs campaign, my Rosh Yeshiva taught and other tzaddikim taught, is somewhat misguided. And certainly, there's no source to go tell someone who wants to become a Ger Tzedek that it's better for him to keep Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. That is absolutely false. It is absolutely 100% better if someone is going to live a Torah lifestyle, is better that he or she converts to Judaism. The only reason we would tell someone not to convert is because we don't think they're going to live up to the Torah lifestyle. And in that case, they have to understand that they're taking on a responsibility, and if they're not living up to it, they're taking upon themselves punishment that they would not have had if they never converted. And as long as the person understands that and he accepts it, the conversion is valid. Meaning the convert could accept, yes, I understand that just like Ruth said, where you die, I will die. Meaning to say, if I commit a sin that's a capital sin, I recognize and accept upon myself that that I will face this punishment that I would not have faced for breaking Shabbos if I did not convert to Judaism. Most of the capital sins are the same for Jews and non-Jews. But Shabbos is one big example that is only a capital sin for a Jew, and it's not even recommended for the non-Jew to keep the Sabbath. In fact, the way it's expressed is the opposite, that he's not allowed to keep the Sabbath fully, and he would actually face some kind of divine retribution if he did keep the Sabbath. There's different understandings of that and parameters of that, but nonetheless, that is what when you're converting, and if someone understands that, and the conversion is valid. We know Rabbi Uziel, he said to avoid an intermarriage, we should make a conversion even if the person is not going to be fully observant, as long as there's certain basic things. Obviously, the person has to be loyal to only Judaism and share our beliefs, and make the best efforts to live the Jewish life. But if they're not going to keep everything, in the case of avoiding an intermarriage, Rabbi Uziel said it's better to make the conversion than to have him intermarry. So obviously, there are those who disagree with that. But even those who disagree agree that once it happens, the conversion is still valid. It's just the wrong thing to do. So, but what I've seen in Lubavitch is people who are, it's nothing to do with marriage, nothing to do with any ulterior motive, and they want to convert and they're ready to live 100% frum, and the Lubavitchers don't want to do it, don't want to have anything to do with them. And I personally think that there's some racism that's involved with that. I don't think it's a Jewish supremacist ideology. It's just a type of racism. They're not supremacists. And the things that Owens was quoting from these secular professors, it's garbage. It's misinterpretations of certain things in the Tanya, which, if you look at the modern day Lubavitcher commentaries on the Tanya, to make it clear that those statements in the Tanya do not apply to Chasidei Umas Ha'olam, do not apply to righteous Gentiles. The vast majority of Gentiles say are righteous Gentiles, and I would include in that any people like this who are not saying to kill Jews, but they might disagree with us and argue with us in certain things. I think someone like this, they're really seeking the truth. And we shouldn't make a hyperbole that, oh, this one is a Holocaust denier or this or that. And the idea of the Holocaust denial is stupid, but how it became a cardinal sin, I don't understand. It's a cardinal sin of the sky is blue denial. We know the Holocaust happened. The Nazis were very proud of it. They kept records and everything. So and we know October 7th happened. It seems that the Hamas are more proud than the Nazis because the Nazis at least tried to hide. They kept records, but they also tried to hide or make propaganda the other way. Whereas the Hamas, they live streamed things they did. Rahman Latzlan. So, but the thing is, even with the Hamas, these are people who have. It's hard to say because they're really not living up to what Islam teaches authentically. The imams who I know said that, but nonetheless, and the more the influence comes from communism, from the Soviets. The whole Palestinian ideology came from the Soviets, not from Islam. But nonetheless, these people, ve'etzem, they believe in God. They want to follow God's will. I don't know how religious they really are. Are they really praying 5 times a day? It's hard for me to believe a person who prays 5 times a day could commit the type of atrocities that they did on October 7th. A big part of it, though, was that they took drugs, which is haram in Islam also. They took some very crazy drugs, and that was... but again, I don't want... But all these people, they have a means and a way of getting them back onto a righteous path. But I think someone like Candace Owens, might be easier to bring back. Bring back to the proper path. But someone like the Hamas, it would take a lot more work because they need to be deprogrammed. But hope is never lost. We're not like the leftists who say that they're deplorable, irredeemable people. Every human being, even the worst Nazi, was made in the image of God and has a means of rectification. That means, I remember asking, now there are issues though of hybrids and so forth, which most, I got in trouble for saying that Hitler Yamach Shemo was a demonic figure. And I asked Rabbi Bart Tzadok, who's an expert in these things, I said, is there any hope for these souls to be rectified? And he said, the same as a klicheres. That if an earthenware vessel is unclean, you can't put in the mikveh to purify it, you have to break it. But breaking doesn't necessarily mean killing. A broken heart, a contrite spirit is the sacrifice of God. And so that means that they could be broken-hearted where broken hearts go, and they can be rectified. Everybody has a chance for tikkun, for rectification. Nobody is irredeemable. Thank you for watching, and I believe that if we spread this type of compassion, like the Kedushas Levi said, even to the people who hate us, Kamayim upon him, as the Tanya teaches, that if we turn our hearts in love to those who hate us, as water reflects, so does the heart of man reflect the face. as water reflects a face, so too the heart of man, that we can also bring back love and compassion to increase in the world. As it says, Talmidei Chachomim marbim shalom ba'olam. The Torah scholars increase peace in the world. That's how we have to live. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. We'll see you later. Love you.